Let me ask you something. What if I told you that the food sitting in your kitchen right now, the ones your doctor praised, the ones your nutritionist recommended, the ones you've been eating every single day because you genuinely believe they were good for you, are quietly, slowly damaging your kidneys? Not the junk food, not the fast food, the healthy food, the spinach smoothie, the protein shake, the whole grain bread, the handful of almonds you eat as a smart snack. I know that sounds alarming. I know it might even sound a little crazy. But stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you today could genuinely save your life, or the life of someone you love. I'm Dr. Andrew Collins, and if you're over 60, this video is one of the most important things you'll watch this year. I mean that, not as a headline, not as a scare tactic. I mean it because I've spent decades working with patients in this exact age group, and the number of people I've seen come through my door with declining kidney function, people who were doing everything right, people who were eating clean, exercising, taking supplements, it's staggering. And in so many of those cases, the damage wasn't caused by neglect. It was caused by genuinely well-intentioned choices that nobody warned them about. So today we're going to change that. We're going to talk about what happens to your kidneys as you age past 60, why the rules of nutrition shift dramatically at this stage of life, and most importantly, which so-called healthy foods are putting your kidneys under serious strain, even as you think you're doing your body a favor. We'll also talk about what you can eat instead, because this isn't about fear, it's about knowledge. And knowledge, at any age, is power. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. I make videos about real, practical health information for people over 50 and 60 who want to take control of their well-being without confusion, without gimmicks, and without being talked down to. If that sounds like you, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. Now, let's get into it. First, I want you to understand what your kidneys actually do, because most people have a surprisingly vague idea. Your kidneys are two fist-sized organs sitting just below your rib cage on either side of your spine. Every single day they filter approximately 200 liters of blood. 200 liters. They pull out waste products, regulate your fluid balance, control your blood pressure, manage your electrolyte levels, and produce hormones that tell your bones how to handle calcium and tell your body how many red blood cells to make. They are, in every sense of the word, extraordinary organs. And here's the part that changes everything when it comes to life after 60. Your kidneys age. Not in the way that's obvious. You don't feel it the way you feel a sore knee or a stiff back. Kidney decline is silent. It creeps. From about the age of 40 onwards, most people begin to lose roughly 1% of their kidney filtering capacity every year. By the time you hit 60, you may have already lost 20% or more of your kidney function without a single symptom. By 70, it could be 30%. And in many people, especially those with even mild high blood pressure or blood sugar issues, that decline is happening even faster. Now here's why this matters so much in the context of food. When your kidneys were functioning at full capacity in your 30s and 40s, they could handle a lot. They were resilient. They could process a high-protein meal, manage a big dose of minerals, clear out compounds that accumulate in the body, all without breaking a sweat. But at 60, 65, 70, the workload that once felt manageable becomes a significant burden. And certain foods that are genuinely beneficial for younger adults, start to cross the line from helpful to harmful. This is the part nobody tells you. Nutrition advice is largely one size fits all. Pick up any mainstream health magazine or scroll through any wellness website, and the advice is broadly the same, whether you're 35 or 75. Eat more spinach, load up on protein, take your supplements, snack on nuts. But the kidneys of a 65-year-old do not work like the kidneys of a 35-year-old. And eating like you're 35 when you're 65 can quietly push your kidneys toward a cliff edge you don't even know is there. So let's talk about the specific foods. And I want to be clear here. I'm not saying these foods are bad for everyone, or even bad for most people. What I am saying is that for people over 60, particularly those who have any degree of reduced kidney function, which, as I just explained, is a lot of people, these foods deserve serious reconsideration. Let's start with something that might genuinely surprise you. Dark leafy greens. Spinach, Swiss chard, beet greens, kale in large quantities. These are the poster children of healthy eating. Doctors recommend them, nutritionists love them, and every superfood list ever written puts them near the top. And for good reason. They're loaded with vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. But here's what most people don't know. These greens are also extremely high in oxalate. Oxalate is a naturally occurring compound that in healthy kidneys gets filtered out and excreted in the urine. But when kidney function is even moderately reduced, oxalate can start to accumulate. It binds with calcium in the kidneys and forms calcium oxalate crystals, the most common type of kidney stone. And repeated kidney stones cause scar tissue. Scar tissue reduces filtering capacity. it becomes a cycle that compounds over time. Now, I want to be precise here. I'm not telling you to throw away your spinach. A normal serving of cooked spinach a few times a week is unlikely to cause a problem for someone with healthy kidneys. But if you're making large green smoothies every morning with 2 or 3 big handfuls of raw spinach, if you're eating kale salads daily, if you've bought into the idea that more greens equals more health, you need to know that at 60 and beyond, your kidneys may not be able to handle that oxalate load the way they once could. Cooking the greens actually reduces oxalate content significantly. Boiling and draining spinach removes a large portion of oxalate compared to eating it raw. Variety also helps. Rotating your greens and including lower oxalate options like romaine lettuce, arugula, cabbage, and bok choy gives you the nutritional benefits without concentrating the oxalate risk. Next, let's talk about protein. And this one is complicated because the messaging around protein and aging has become really confusing in recent years. There's a very real and legitimate concern about muscle loss after 60. It's called sarcopenia, and it's a serious issue. Losing muscle mass increases fall risk, slows metabolism, and reduces overall quality of life. So doctors and fitness experts have started recommending higher protein intakes for older adults to help preserve muscle. And that recommendation has some solid science behind it. But here's the other side of the coin that often gets left out of the conversation. Processing protein creates waste products, particularly a compound called urea, which your kidneys have to filter and excrete. For kidneys that are already working at reduced capacity, a very high protein intake, especially from animal sources like red meat, dramatically increases the workload. Studies have consistently shown that high animal protein consumption accelerates the decline of kidney function in people who already have any degree of kidney impairment. And as we discussed, a lot of people over 60 have some degree of impairment without knowing it. This doesn't mean you should go low protein. It means the source and quantity of your protein matters enormously. Red meat, beef, lamb, pork is the heaviest burden on the kidneys. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli meats add a double burden because they combine high protein with extremely high sodium, which is another kidney stressor we'll come back to. Plant-based protein sources like lentils, beans, tofu, and tempeh are processed much more gently by the kidneys and come with the added benefit of fiber and antioxidants. Fish and poultry sit somewhere in the middle, better than red meat, but still requiring moderation. The goal isn't to eliminate protein. The goal is to spread your protein across the day, prioritize plant and lean sources, and avoid the habit of eating very large protein portions at a single sitting, which creates a spike in filtering demand that aging kidneys struggle with. Now let's talk about something that affects almost everyone over 60, whether they're aware of it or not: sodium, salt. And I'm not just talking about the salt shaker on the table. Most people have already put that down. I'm talking about hidden sodium, the sodium that lives inside foods that have no business tasting salty. Bread, breakfast cereals, canned soups marketed as healthy and low-fat, cottage cheese, canned tomatoes and tomato-based sauces, pickled vegetables, low-calorie frozen meals that trade fat and calories for sodium to maintain flavor. These foods are eaten daily by health-conscious people who genuinely believe they're making smart choices, and they're delivering a sodium load that the kidneys of a 65-year-old simply were not designed to handle efficiently. Here's why sodium is so damaging to aging kidneys specifically. Sodium raises blood pressure by pulling water into the bloodstream and increasing the volume of fluid the heart has to pump. High blood pressure then exerts direct physical pressure on the delicate filtering structures inside the kidney, the tiny capillaries inside the glomeruli, and damages them over time. The kidneys of younger adults are better at compensating for sodium fluctuations and maintaining blood pressure stability. Aging kidneys are less efficient at this, which means elevated sodium intake has a more pronounced and more lasting effect on blood pressure and kidney tissue in people over 60. The recommended sodium limit for older adults is around 1,500 milligrams per day. The average person is consuming 2 to 3 times that amount without realizing it, largely because it's hidden in processed and packaged foods. Reading labels isn't optional at this stage of life. It's essential. Let me move on to something that's going to surprise a lot of people who consider themselves health savvy: protein supplements, powders, shakes. The fitness industry has done a remarkable job of convincing people of all ages that protein shakes are a cornerstone of good health. And in the gym community, in the fitness over 60 community especially, protein supplementation has exploded. The logic sounds reasonable. You're trying to preserve muscle. You need protein. A shake is convenient, low in fat and calories, so it must be a good idea. But concentrated protein supplements, particularly whey protein, deliver a very large dose of protein in a very short window. As I mentioned earlier, this creates an acute, significant spike in kidney filtering demand. Whey protein, derived from dairy, is particularly high in a type of amino acid that produces more urea as a byproduct compared to plant-based proteins. And many protein powders contain added phosphorus, often in the form of phosphate additives used for texture and preservation. Which brings me to the next issue: phosphorus. This is one of the most important minerals in the context of kidney health after 60, and it's one that almost nobody is talking about. Healthy kidneys regulate phosphorus levels tightly, but as kidney function declines, the ability to excrete excess phosphorus drops significantly. When phosphorus builds up in the blood, it pulls calcium out of the bones, which is why kidney disease is so strongly linked to bone weakening and fractures. High phosphorus also causes calcification, where calcium deposits start forming inside blood vessels, dramatically increasing cardiovascular risk. The foods highest in phosphorus include dairy products, dark colas, processed foods with phosphate additives, nuts eaten in large quantities, and, here's the specific problem, many of the fortified, healthy packaged foods that older adults reach for, precisely because they've been marketed as nutritious. Fortified cereals, high-protein nutrition bars, meal replacement shakes, many of these contain phosphate additives that are absorbed much more readily than the natural phosphorus found in whole foods. If you're eating these foods regularly because you believe they're good for you, please check the ingredients list for anything ending in phosphate. That's the form your kidneys struggle with most. I want to talk about supplements now because this is an area where I see enormous confusion. The supplement industry targets older adults heavily, and the messaging is overwhelmingly positive. Take this, feel better, live longer. But some of the most commonly taken supplements by people over 60 are significantly harder on the kidneys than most people realize. Vitamin D is a great example. Vitamin D is important. Deficiency is genuinely common in older adults. Supplementation is often appropriate, but very high doses, and I see people taking 5,000, 10,000 IU per day without any testing or medical guidance, elevate calcium levels in the blood, and excess calcium is filtered and concentrated by the kidneys, increasing the risk of calcium deposits and stones. More is not always better. Get your vitamin D levels tested, supplement to reach an optimal range, and don't assume that a higher dose is a safer dose. Vitamin C supplements present a similar issue. Vitamin C is water-soluble, so many people assume excess amounts are harmlessly flushed out. And to an extent, that's true. But vitamin C is metabolized into oxalate in the body. High-dose vitamin C supplementation, anything over about 1,000 milligrams per day, can meaningfully raise urinary oxalate levels and increase kidney stone risk, particularly in people with already reduced kidney function. Getting your vitamin C from whole fruits and vegetables, where it comes alongside fiber and other compounds, is a very different physiological proposition from taking a 2,000 milligram supplement. Again, food form and supplement form are not the same thing, and the distinction matters more the older you get. Now let me talk about something that feels controversial but needs to be said. Herbal teas. Yes, herbal teas. Many people over 60 have moved away from coffee or black tea and turned to herbal infusions, believing they're making a gentler, healthier choice. And many herbal teas are absolutely fine, but certain herbs contain compounds that are directly toxic to the kidneys or that interact badly with reduced kidney function. Starfruit, including starfruit juice and teas made from it, contains a neurotoxin that healthy kidneys can eliminate, but damaged kidneys cannot, and even small amounts can cause acute kidney injury in people with reduced function. Certain herbal teas containing aristolochic acid, found in some traditional remedies, particularly from Chinese and Eastern European herbal traditions, are known nephrotoxins, meaning they directly damage kidney tissue. Licorice root, taken in large quantities over extended periods, can raise blood pressure significantly and worsen kidney strain. Noni juice, which has been heavily marketed as a superfood, is extremely high in potassium, and for people whose kidneys are struggling to maintain potassium balance, this can actually be dangerous. I'm not saying avoid all herbal teas. I'm saying know what's in your cup. If you're regularly drinking something because someone told you it was healthy without specifying why, it's worth researching the specific herb and its effects on kidney function. Let me now take a moment to talk about something practical, because I don't want you to walk away from this video feeling scared and confused about what you can actually eat. The good news is that a kidney-supportive diet after 60 is not a punishment diet. It's not bland, it's not boring, and it doesn't mean giving up everything you enjoy. It means making intelligent, informed swaps that protect your kidneys without sacrificing the pleasure of eating well. Hydration is the single most powerful thing you can do for your kidneys, and it costs nothing. Your kidneys flush waste through urine, and they need adequate water to do that effectively. Dehydration concentrates the substances in urine, including oxalate, calcium, and phosphorus, and dramatically increases the risk of crystals and stones forming. Most people over 60 are chronically mildly dehydrated because the sense of thirst diminishes with age. You genuinely cannot rely on thirst to tell you when to drink. Aim for pale, straw-colored urine throughout the day as your guide. Plain water is the gold standard. Herbal teas that are kidney-safe, peppermint, ginger, chamomile, are good secondary options. Limit alcohol, which is dehydrating and directly stressful to the kidneys, even in moderate amounts more than most people realize. In terms of diet, focus on eating a wide variety of vegetables in moderate portions, rather than loading up on any single one. Rotate your greens. Choose lower potassium options like green beans, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and peppers as your daily staples, with higher potassium and higher oxalate choices appearing as occasional additions rather than daily foundations. Choose whole, unprocessed foods wherever possible, not because processed food is always terrible, but because the sodium and phosphate additives that accumulate in a heavily processed diet are invisible unless you're actively checking. Prioritize plant-based proteins regularly throughout the week. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, tofu. These are excellent, versatile, and kind to aging kidneys. Eat fish 2 to 3 times a week. Use poultry as your primary animal protein if you eat meat, and treat red meat as an occasional meal rather than a daily habit. And please get a basic kidney function test. It is a simple blood test that measures something called your eGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rate. This single number tells you approximately what percentage of your kidney capacity is functioning. Most people over 60 have never had this test done. It's not automatically included in many standard checkups. Ask for it specifically. Ask for a urine albumin to creatinine ratio test as well. This catches early signs of kidney damage that even the eGFR can miss. Knowing your baseline gives you an enormous amount of power, because if you know your kidneys are already under strain, you can make the dietary adjustments that matter most. And if your numbers look good, you still have the knowledge to protect them going forward. I also want to say this because I think it's important. None of what I've shared today should make you feel guilty about the choices you've made in the past. You were making decisions based on the information available to you, and in many cases based on advice that was genuinely well-intentioned. The information I'm sharing with you today isn't widely talked about because it complicates a health narrative that the food and supplement industries have a vested interest in keeping simple. Protein is good, greens are good, supplements are good, more is more. That's a profitable message. The nuanced truth that context, age, and individual physiology fundamentally change what healthy actually means doesn't sell as easily. But it's the truth, and you deserve it. Your kidneys have been quietly working on your behalf for every single day of your life. They've filtered hundreds of thousands of liters of blood. They've kept your chemistry balanced. They've protected your heart, your bones, and your brain. And they've done all of this without a single complaint, without a single symptom, right up until the point where they can't anymore. The goal of everything I've shared today is to give you the understanding and the tools to protect them before that point arrives. So let me give you your action list for this week. First, go through your kitchen and read the sodium content on every packaged food you eat regularly. Anything over 600 milligrams of sodium per serving deserves a closer look. Second, look at your protein habits. How much are you eating? Where is it coming from? And are you relying heavily on supplements or red meat? Third, assess your supplement routine. If you're taking high-dose vitamin D, vitamin C, or any herbal supplement you're not entirely clear about, bring that list to your next doctor's appointment. Fourth, think about your hydration honestly. Not how much water you think you should be drinking, but how much you're actually drinking day to day. And fifth, book a blood test. Ask specifically for an eGFR and a urine albumin test. Make it non-negotiable. Because here's the thing about kidney disease. The window to intervene is wide open right now. The changes that protect your kidneys aren't dramatic. They're adjustments, swaps, awareness, and they make an enormous difference when applied consistently over months and years. The people who end up facing dialysis or kidney failure in their 70s and 80s are often the people who had no idea their kidneys were struggling in their 60s. Not because they were careless, but because nobody told them what to look for. I'm telling you, right now, consider this your warning, your guide, and your invitation to take this seriously. If this video gave you something valuable, if it shifted your thinking even slightly, if it made you look at your breakfast smoothie or your protein shake or your daily handful of almonds in a new light, please share it. Share it with your partner. Share it with a friend who's health conscious and over 60. Share it with a parent. Because the people who need this information the most are often the ones who are doing the most to be healthy, without realizing that some of what they're doing is working against them. And if you have questions about any specific food, any supplement, any aspect of kidney health that I didn't cover today, leave them in the comments below. I read every single one, and I use your questions to build future videos. Your curiosity literally shapes this channel. I'm Dr. Andrew Collins. Thank you for giving me your time and your trust today. Take care of those kidneys. They've been taking care of you for a very long time. I'll see you in the next one.